Good morning, Wicked Smart listeners. Thanks for joining me this week. This is your host, Chris Pre again, and we have what we used to call a family cast, but if you haven't noticed, and if you've been following us, you have, and if you're brand new, let me explain a little context here. We're going to be joined by another Wicked Smart community member, and again, we used to call this a family cast where we bring on either a family member or team member that we work with, or one of the Wicked Smart community members, because frankly, when we first started the podcast in like 16 or 17, we didn't have overwhelming deal success, right? We just had onesie, twosie people doing deals. But now the social proof, the deal flow weekly here in Wicked Smart community is quite evident. And so we're bringing on a lot of students because I think you'd rather hear from them, quite frankly, than some of my solo casts and some of our outsider guests because it's real, it's current. They all, just like you, likely were either in a JOB or you'll find someone that we interview that had your situation. You know, there's always someone who took your path and kind of broke through. This particular episode is no different. We're going to hang out and chat with Judy Richard. It's been such a pleasure to work with Judy. She started a real estate career well before she met us in 1987. So in theory, she started before me. I started in 91. So you're going to hear me, I'll have to give her a little heat here in this episode. But she worked for a developer and she handled real estate closings. That was before she got her license. She then transitioned to renting unsold units and working with banks to sell REO properties at auction. So she's been around it, but she's had 26 years in the pharmaceutical industry. And while she did that, she continued to invest and renovate properties. She does some private money lending now. So she does other things. We weren't like the only thing. It was just that she's always been on the peripheral. And now you're going to hear her story, how and why she found us, why she took that pathway, where she is now. And she's having some huge success. We just put a deal together that you're going to want to hear. I'm just going to give you the high-level numbers because I can also send you to a video we did on the, about to do soon, on the Deal Structure Sundays on YouTube, which, by the way, I hope you subscribe to that. We have, I don't know, I lost count, over 400, maybe it approached 500 deals for free. Go to YouTube, subscribe, and every Sunday we call Deal Structure Sunday. You'll get those deals. It's pretty cool, guys, because you can watch that till you're blue in the face, and there's no one deal that's the same, which is pretty cool. I do want to mention to you guys before I bring Judy on, and she was just at one of these. So you're going to hear me ask her this for a reason, but I invite you to go to smartrealestatecoach.com/ITT bootcamp. Okay, the bootcamp that we run here privately, you're going to see on the page, is for anyone in the community. It's free, or you can just buy a ticket if you want to kind of be a fly in the wall. It's fine, but it's free for everyone in the community. And the results have been astronomically successful. I don't know if those two words go together, but it's that good. And so you're going to want to check it out. So enjoy my chat here with Judy. And if you have any questions, as usual, get on a free call with me. smartrealestatecoach.com/Chris pre-call. Love to chat with you. All right, guys, I want to make sure to remind you about our QLS Live event. We've been hosting this thing since 2016 in a basement. And now we have a brand new facility in Boston, Massachusetts this year, 2024. It's going to be September 23rd and 24th. That's a Monday and a Tuesday. It makes it easy for travel. It is literally right next to the airport. Go to smartrealestatecoach.com/QLS Live and use the coupon code podcast50. That's going to give you 50% off. I'll see you there. All right. With that as a quick intro, I left more of it as a cliffhanger. Judy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chris, for having me.
Can I say this is the first time you've been on the podcast? Maybe.
It is.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Well, Judy can be found on Deal Structure Sundays on YouTube, but yes, this is the first episode, so we'll have a nice chat, Judy. Okay, so because I just left a bunch of cliffhangers, Judy, why don't we go back to, let's fill in some blanks. Why don't we go back to how you found us and what got your attention? Because obviously I gave just a little bit of background 2 seconds ago. Let's do that first. We'll see where that leads us.
Okay, sure. So I had a background in real estate, and I've always had some interest in it. And I had joined the Women's Real Estate Investors Network just to they had like a masterclass, so I just kind of dabbled in that. And it was like kind of broad exposure, almost too much exposure. So, but I was interested. It was something I still wanted to do, but I had limited time because I work more than full time at my W-2. So I ended up signing up with a company that sets up LLCs, and I was trying to get some of my business stuff set up.
I remember now. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
They had a segment where Zach was on and talked about like the 3 paydays and creative financing. And I thought to myself, that's really interesting. I like that. And my dad was a developer and also did some real estate stuff, and he did some creative financing. And I thought, that sounds like some of the stuff that my father had done. So I ended up signing up and just for the 90-day jumpstart program to kind of see what it was all about. And then I ended up going to the QLS event, I don't know, 5-6 weeks later. And then I decided I'm all in.
Would that be, I'm trying to put myself time-wise, is that 22, 23?
Yeah. So
okay, so this is only a year out then.
Yeah.
Oh, really cool. Honestly, thought it was a little longer. So I'm even more excited for some of these milestones we've passed. This is good. Okay, so you mentioned a 90-day jumpstart. So I want to do this for the Wicked Smart listeners. We've evolved that just so they can stay current. We've evolved that into what we call the Apprentice program. It's ridiculously cheap. It's less than we sell our course for, and you get you get like 16 grand worth of coaching for it. So for those of you that just heard that 90-day jumpstart, check out the Apprentice. Just go to the number three paydaysapprentice.com. Just so you can kind of follow the story here with Judy. Okay, so you came to the event. I guess it'd be worth doing two things then. You were fairly new, like you were coming to meet us. We had never met. So what any ahas there, like anything that was different than you thought? You're driving down from Maine expecting whatever, and you any ahas that were different than you thought? Can you remember?
Yeah, so I wasn't really sure what I was driving to be honest with you. And I listened to some of the course online while I was driving down. And I remember Zach in the Seller Specialist program and just listening to that just so I could, kind of prep myself for, the mindset that I had to be in. And I remember arriving and not knowing a soul. And one of your employees that I had been speaking to on the phone kind of showed up at the hotel around the same time I did and was like, hey, have you had dinner yet? And I said, no, let's go. A bunch of them are in town. Let's go grab a bite with them. So I thought it was like all the coaches and I didn't want to, intrude. I was like, oh no, if you guys are planning for tomorrow. And he was like, no, come join us. So I went out and there was a bunch of coaches. There were other people also. And I ran into Rick Abbiati, who is my neighbor of the South in New Hampshire. And we started talking and I asked him, of course, I'm, kind of doing my homework behind the scenes. If you had a chance to do it again, is there anything you would do differently? And he said, I would just jump right in. I dabbled. I went from, the starter, 90-day to starter. And he just kind of like slowly worked his way in. And he said, just jump right in and go all the way to the high 6 level. You did do it. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I thought,
Judy, I didn't know. I'm sorry to interrupt. I didn't know that, and if I did, I forgot that you knew nobody. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you said something else interesting too. For those of you listening that might go to, forget our event, any event, Judy said something really cool. You listen to the program so you can be in a better mindset on the way in. That's just so cool and smart. So you get the most out of it. Let me give them. I'm going to follow the lead here of what you say. These links I'm going to give the Wicked Smart listeners are not public. They used to be. So if you want to know what the heck Judy's talking about with the different levels and, Rick and I did this, just go to smartrealestatecoach.com, but then you're going to do /starter, /immersion, immersion, and then /high 6, the number 6. That's what she's talking about. There's quick videos in there, and some of them, frankly, might be outdated. That's why they're not public, but I want you to know what she's talking about. So sorry about that, Judy. Let's, so what else? That was cool because you had to meet everybody. And then at the event, was there anything that you went, like, I didn't know that or what, anything, any ahas?
Oh my God, there was so much that I didn't know. Trying to follow the deal structures and seeing, the different ways that you could get paid more than just once on a deal. I hadn't really heard that concept. I didn't realize, but I had bought stuff with creative financing before I even knew what this was. My very first home, I had done it that way. I had no money, or very little money, let's put it that way. And I wanted to purchase a home and I had a deadline for when I wanted to purchase it by. So I was focused on that. And I was working for a real estate auction company that was doing pre-foreclosure work at the time. And one of the bankers we did business with in New York called me and said, hey, we have a property under contract. However, the investors don't want to wait. We have a cloud on the title. Do you know anybody that might be interested in it? And I said, oh, okay, I wasn't aware that the keys are in your office already. So I went, grabbed the keys, took a look at it, thought, this could be a house for me. So that weekend, I grabbed the keys again and went with somebody that I knew that was a mortgage broker. My brother-in-law was a contractor and my father. And we took a look at it. They all said, you could do this. So now I had to find the money and then wanted to close on it as a first-time homeowner, and then ended up closing again with a bank after all this was said and done. And I just went around to people that I knew had money and said, hey, do you have any money you can loan me? I'll pay you more than what you're getting in the bank right now. And that's pretty much how I bought my first home. So, and I didn't even know at the time. And then it kind of came full circle working, with a smart real estate coach and learning all of the different ways. I thought, oh my God, if I knew then, what I know now, that I could have done differently.
100%. Yeah. Because I always say on the workshops I do to this day, and again, I got to give a link, right? If you want to go to the workshop, just go. It's free, guys. Just go hang out with me. If you can deal with me for 55 minutes, go to smartrealestatecoach.com/masters class. And because what I say in there all the time, Judy, is, I don't even have to ask if you agree because you just kind of said it, and that is, once you learn the skill set, whether you talk to us again in 5 years or 10 years, you have the skill set. We can't take it from you. You can buy your own house, do whatever you want to do, right?
Right. Exactly. And it's just such a skill set that I think is so valuable. And I started out doing real estate. So my career basically started out as getting out of college, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And because of my dad's background, he was kind of gearing me towards real estate. I was in sales at the time. That was my first job. And then I thought, I think I will look in real estate. I went to knock on the door of a big developer here in Portland, Maine, and they were, kind of the it guys. It was two partners, and they were, doing stuff all over here. Well, I ended up going and knocking on the door to see if I could get a job there, and I wasn't really sure what there was available. So I ended up going in as an administrative assistant. I came out of college with a marketing degree, said, I taught myself how to type. I didn't type for, anybody. I worked in the real estate division and just started learning. And I wasn't too proud to do what it took to get my foot in the door. So they had all kinds of properties over Southern Maine. Well, they had a couple people that were doing the real estate closings, and everything was so stressful for them. They were dealing with buyers that had a lot of money. They were investors, basically. So for whatever reason, there was turnover in the position. So I made an appointment with one of the partners, took the elevator up to the top floor, and said, I can do this job, and I will see you through to the end on it. And I did all of their real estate closings for 2 years.
Wow.
Then the crash of 87 came.
Yep.
So that Black Friday came, and everything changed. Instead of selling high-end condominiums, we had to pivot and start leasing them. So, I had closing experience, I had leasing experience. They actually sent me to go get my real estate license. So I was, had been just starting out in sales when the crash happened. So we pivoted to leasing, and, I was leasing them up, and then things started kind of slowing down, and I switched over and went and just did leasing because nothing was going on in real estate at the time. And then I got recruited by a real estate auction company.
Oh yeah, because that brings back to the mastermind call where we told each other what was something we did or experienced that nobody would know, and it was the auctioneer.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
So you guys will have to come to the live event to catch that in action. No, I'm only kidding. She's not going to do it. Judy, so this is super cool. So let's transition now. Fast forward a year. Let's just call it a year because I think QLS was like the 13th or 15th last year, and we're sitting on the 11th right now.
Yeah.
As of this filming. So since the event, because you've stacked learning, you've done it all these years without us. Now you've been with us a year. We just completed your owner financing, what we call taken, a home under contract, contingent upon you finding a buyer still, but a really cool deal that you worked on for, I think, your whole time with us, right?
Yes, it was. I started in July of 2023 and put it under contract in August of 2024.
Okay, that's a really cool lesson for everybody here because this deal, one of all 3 paydays on this deal, they can go watch the video when it comes out, but.
Right. What we figured was if it went full term, 177,000.
Okay, so please get this, guys. 177,000 all 3 paydays proposed. Judy's got this under agreement, and now she's going to get it sold with Nick's help in our office and the coaches.
And I'll never include the land.
And it doesn't even, we did get a free piece of land out of this deal too. Now, I'm not going to spoil it. We have Judy coming on the Wicked Smart Sit Down. If you're not attending that every Thursday, it's free, guys, 4 o'clock. And then we also have a Deal Structure Sunday video that me and Judy did. I don't know when that'll air, Judy, but it'll go on YouTube on Deal Structure Sunday. So you guys are going to want to earmark either the sit down coming up, or you can get a replay, or the Deal Structure Sunday, because 177 grand, I would think you'd want to rip that apart and watch how Judy and I structure that, or Zach if you're catching that video, so you can see how these 3 paydays work. Judy, I guess maybe in its short form, any learning lessons from that deal, the main deal? Because owner financing and all kinds of cool things happen.
Oh my God. I mean, we made it contingent on a buyer, no money down, no interest payment, just monthly payments to the seller.
Principal.
Exactly. Yep. Towards the principal. And it worked out nice. It took a long time, but we just kept talking. They were looking at some other things. It fell through a couple times with a realtor, and they were just frustrated and just wanted to work with somebody that made it easy. And I've been consistent in staying in touch with them. So just kind of did according to their time frame.
Just for context for these guys, because we had a deal yesterday, and I shared your story with Paul Dew in our community. And I said, look, I know these guys are asking for a lot of money, but Judy's seller asked for, was it $250,000 down?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they asked Judy for $250,000 down 14 months ago, and she just signed it up with 0 down.
Right.
I'm a little teaser for everybody to just think through this process. And then she's going to pay monthly principal-only payments, no interest, in a climate where interest rates are in the 6s and 7s. Just, again, think this whole thing through. And Judy and I and the other coaches, I think, helped you that. But we talked a lot on this deal. We even talked to the sellers together.
Right. We did. Exactly.
Okay. Is there anything I'm not asking you on the main deal? Any other thoughts on that deal?
No. We're still going to work on the land piece of it. And right now I'm, working with buyers to try to get people in there. I had a call with the sellers last night, and we're going to touch base again today, just, on the inspection. So I did my due diligence and just, keeping everything moving forward. And, I have till the end of the year to close on it.
It's so sweet. We're in September, guys. She's already showing that property, and the contingency is till the end of the year. Pretty simple. All right, good. Then go to Deal Structure Sunday YouTube for the rest of that one.
Right.
So what's on the horizon, Judy? And maybe I should say this. You mentioned corporate, and I mentioned corporate, but you're not just in a corporate job. You're in a high-paying corporate job, high demand, and you're trying to eventually do something unique or different with your life. So just talk about that a little bit, however little or lot you want to share, because here's what I want you to do. There's a lot of JOBs listening, W-2 people listening. They're out, and I don't know what it is. My brain just goes to, okay, we'll make the plan, make the move, as you and I always talk. But there's so many people that just haven't done it yet, and they're listening right now. So I don't know, anything you want to share with them?
Yeah, definitely. That probably has been one of the things that has given me the most ups and downs, because it is a high demand job. We're a small team, and I work for a pharmaceutical company, and I have been in the industry for almost 30 years. So I started out in real estate and with a developer, made some pivots here and there. And then in 1998, I went into the pharmaceutical industry, and I've been in there ever since. And at this point, I'm looking for a better quality of life, being able to have that freedom of choice, freedom of time, spend it with my parents. I'm blessed to still have both of my parents, and just, be able to enjoy some time and, some of the fruits of my labor. And I've always had a passion for real estate. I've always enjoyed it. It's one of the things that really lets me see the light at the end of the tunnel, because seeing these deals, knowing that, hey, I don't have to just retire and do nothing. I still can be active in doing things as much as I want to do with real estate, instead of having to show up for, and I mean, virtually, it's like a 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. job a lot of the time. So, and that's presented challenges like, when do I make the calls? When do I follow up on some of these leads? So you and I have talked about that so much. I hired a virtual assistant to do the initial calls. I do the follow-up calls. I've had times where I haven't been able to keep up with it. You're like, don't beat yourself up, just keep moving forward. And that's what I've done. And things are starting to, come, the fruits of my labor are starting to show up now with that.
Yeah, case in point. So how much, we might have talked about this at the recent boot camp you were at, but how much does the VAs and assistants you employ now cost you per year, ballpark?
Oh, it's about $800 a month. So $9,600.
Okay. So let's say 10 grand. And let's say, just for shits and giggles here, it took you 2 years, not 1 year, to get that main deal, right?
Right.
Reality. So, and $177 grand, I just want to put that in perspective for everybody, because it is a grind to try to put one foot in the JOB and put one foot here, but we've all done it. Every coach has done it, and Judy gets to lean, not just Judy, but everybody gets to lean on someone in the community, right, Judy, that had done it before. Like in your case, you probably lean on Rick a lot. He's done it. He had, 130 employees. So
right.
Someone's done it in the community is my point. I want you guys to know that. So I don't care what your scenario is. If you're listening now and you go, yeah, but my area, yeah, but my job, yeah, but my wife, yeah, but my husband, it doesn't matter. Someone in the community has done exactly what you're doing now, has experienced the same challenges. If it's not me, if it's not Judy, if it's not one of the coaches, someone has. And the point is, aside from the skill sets, there's so much else you can glean from the community. Actually, Judy, you talk about that all the time. You want to just touch on that briefly, on outside of deal structure and doing real estate deals? Like, what else do you get out of the community?
Oh my God. So first of all, a lot of mindset, because, I was going through a lot of ups and downs. My JOB was very challenging last year. We had so much going on, and I just felt like, all the work that I was working towards, I could never take it to the finish line because I would get interrupted and not have the time. And I remember talking to someone in the community that said, just keep pushing forward, do what you can do. If you just do calls 1 day a week and get a bunch in that day instead of doing a few a day, fit it in where you can. So you just get a lot of tips and pointers from other people, and never mind the personal support. Some of the friendships that I've made with this community. Last year I ended up, you had a contest, and I ended up having gone on the most appointments. I think I might have been tied. And the award was the cruise out in the harbor in Newport.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember just networking with some of the folks that were out on the boat. And I'm always constantly learning things from some of the other people and how they get around some of the challenges that they're facing. Because we're all going to face it, just at different times.
100%, especially real estate. Gosh.
Yes. And, one day I tend to be somebody that's probably more positive and more up. So when I have a day where I feel like I've been beat up, and I'll give you an example. That was my first deal. That was a tough, really challenging one that had so many nuances that were tied into it. And I remember feeling like beat up on some of those days, but everyone just like kind of kept me going, like, oh, just shake it off, move on. It's a different day. And you just have to be able to pick yourself up and keep moving on and not let that stuff get to you mentally.
Yeah, it's interesting. When you were going through that, I think I probably said it to you too, but I'm always thinking when I see a student going through these things, going, okay, it's normal, but if you can get through it, I know you're going to be stronger. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened with you. I'm, full disclosure, do people quit when they get that sometimes? Yeah, they do. And it's a bummer because we see it. And Nick has said, I don't know how many times, it's probably weekly in my office going, why don't they just keep going? Like he just, same as me, like confused, like just keep going. You're not here to try it. You're here to commit. So yeah, good. God, bravo to you.
One of the things that comes to mind when we talk about that is one thing that kind of kept me going throughout the many challenges that I've had, with my job, and then, with any like a potentially tough seller or something like that, is the only way to the other side is through it. And that's just something like, just go through it. I'm going to come out stronger. I'm going to come out hopefully smarter on the other side, and just be, that much better for it. So I can't get to the other side without going through it. No matter how hard I try to figure out, okay, is there any way to do it? Like if I don't do calls today, no, you have to do the work. So, don't think that there's just an easy way out. There isn't. And you have to learn what you're doing. You have to be able to speak to the sellers and speak to the people and to be able to know what you're talking about. So, hiring the virtual assistant did start until I had done so many of the calls myself. And role playing. I mean, never mind role playing. That's something else from the community. We set up a small group of us and we rotated. We worked together for a month and then we'd be on to the next person. And we just rehearsed and practiced the script so that we could be more fluent in it.
Awesome. Talk about two more things before we wrap. One is paint your ideal picture here in the next, 6 to 12 months. So they see where you were, but now they see where you're headed. And again, as much as little as you want to share as far as detail, but let's encapsulate that, and then I get a wrap up.
Okay, sure. So my plan is to be retired and to totally be working on creative real estate. I want to just expand more in real estate. I've worked really hard in the pharmaceutical industry for just under 30 years. This is something else I got from the community. Chris, you knew that I was struggling trying to figure out, okay, what is my plan to retirement? I'd like to retire early while I am blessed to still have both my parents. So I'm like, I'm not getting what I need from my financial people. And you and I were just having one of our regular weekly calls and I happened to mention it. And you said, hey, I know someone, the person that we use. And you introduced me to him and what he accomplished, and this was only maybe 5-6 weeks ago, what he accomplished in that time is giving me the roadmap that I need to get to.
You already did that. That's awesome.
We already did it. We're actually having a meeting tomorrow with the big kind of rollout. There might be a few nuances here and there that we discover when we have, but tomorrow is like my first major meeting after he's put all of the information together. So I figure out what that looks like. I mean, I have golden handcuffs. I've won several awards. I've done a lot in my industry over time. And it's very hard to look at leaving a lucrative job. But at the end of the day, it's still a job. And that's not what I want. I want to be able to have that freedom.
Yeah. And I know you, at least from my perspective, you look like in your energy on the phone, if I'm on the phone with you, you usually are more high energy, let's say it that way, when you go, hey, I got a week off, I can work on deals. Like it's just a different energy from am I accurate?
It's very accurate because I don't get the constant interruptions throughout the day. Even if I try to schedule time, there's always somebody that comes in and gets it. And if I don't do it now, I'm going to have to do it later. So I may as well just do it now. Yeah. It's pretty much the attitude. So I squeeze things. I'll be honest with you. I work Saturdays. I work Sundays, but what I do on Sunday is the stuff like I don't call sellers on Sunday unless we prearranged it. Yeah. Or I've actually looked at property on Sunday, but it's been prearranged. So I try to do the stuff that's either prearranged or it's more the administrative type stuff that I can, like my reports and my key performance indicators, things along those lines, and just keeping track and planning what I need to do.
Love it. I have two things in mind to wrap up. One is I literally this week and last week, because we now do run that in the Trenches boot camp that you just attended privately, like I don't know how many were there when you were there, 10, 12, 14.
Yeah.
Because we run that, people go, well, what the heck's the difference? To your point earlier, you didn't know you were coming to a QLS Live, which is more of a macro event.
Right.
So now that you've attended the small private boot camp and you've attended a QLS Live, I'll give it even tighter. You're in an elevator. You got 2 to 3 sentences. What are the differences between those two big events? So the small event and big event, so that the Wicked Smart listeners know when they hear us talk about QLS Live versus In the Trenches boot camp.
Okay. In the Trenches boot camp is we are there in your office working on our deals, our leads, our business. Whether it's our business plan, if this is your goal, if your goal is to, for example, somebody wants to get to $100,000 in a year, you back it up and basically tell them what they need to do to get to that. So it's really all focused on you, the people in the room. And you're like, I met people that I had never met before in that room. And I've been in the community a year and a half. So, just the people, the caliber of people that you meet, and everybody's at different levels. Some are just beginning and some are further along. So that's kind of, the In the Trenches boot camp. The QLS event, I mean, I don't even know how many people attend that. Hundreds of people are there. You have so many other knowledgeable professionals that are there to help you with your business. They're the ones like the Bank on Yourself and the companies that structure LLCs and just stuff to help you with your business needs. The platforms, the technology. So you have all of those people there at QLS, but you're rubbing elbows with, hundreds of people instead. And I've made some really good personal friends from the very first QLS that I attended that I stay in touch with on a weekly basis. John Mercer, we attended the In the Trenches boot camp together. We pick each other's brains. Sean Scott up in Vermont, he and I, touch base. Well, I did role playing with these guys. Adam out in Wisconsin. We stay in touch so that we can bounce things off of each other. Even if it's something like, hey, I can't find this contract.
Yeah.
Can you help me? To, hey, what do you think? This is where I'm at. What would you do here? So there's so many things that you can do from this, and pivot so many different ways. But there's so many more people there. I mean, that's where I got the guts to come up to talk to you behind the green curtain to say, hey, I want to be all in, and I want to go in high six when I was only a few weeks in.
Yeah, no, I remember it. It's awesome. Okay, link you guys, a link, and then I'll ask you any last minute thoughts, Judy. The boot camp we're talking about is free at every level we have. It's free. But we've had 2 or 3 people over the last few months who just said, well, okay, but I just want to buy a ticket and come watch you guys because we will credit the ticket. But I'd rather have you in the community. But if you want to buy a ticket, you can. Go to smartrealestatecoach.com/ITT bootcamp. That'll, whether you're in the community or not, that'll tell you what it is. Whether you take action or not, it's up to you. But you at least know what the heck we're talking about. Judy, any last minute nugget or thoughts for them, keeping in mind we have community members, listening, sure. But by and large, because we have tens of thousands listening, you're talking to people who are not in the community. So anything I didn't ask you or anything you want to share before we wrap?
Yeah, even if I didn't do any real estate deals at all and I was in the community, the personal growth that I've had just being in this community, a lot of mindset. I can't tell you how many books that you've recommended, Zach has recommended, that either people read individually or, a group of us read like Chairman's Club or something along those lines. The people that you expose us to, like Dr. Amanda, I mean, just so many, I can't even count, the majority of them. So many people that we were exposed to. So the personal growth from that and the support, if you have your vision, just keep that vision in mind and just keep working towards it. And I mean, just talk about that for a second, the goal setting and the vision, the help with that. I mean, that, the reason that I wanted to do this was to be able to leave my W-2 job. Right. And that was a big why for me. Well, in one of the mastermind classes that you had in the high six, you had one of your partners, Stephen Wessner, and I'm not sure, all of his business and stuff, but he basically got on with me and got me really emotional about it. And I didn't even know that that's where it was going. But then, I mean, I honestly felt it to the core and knew that that was what my why was when I'm working towards, for this end. So it takes discipline. It takes hard work. It's not easy. Just do it. Just, buckle up and strap yourself in for the ride because you are in for a ride. You're going to learn so much, but it's so worth it.
And Judy came up with that phrase, just do it too, not Nike. All right, Judy, thanks for being on. It was awesome talking to you as usual. We had our normal chat that we normally do. We just happened to be on the podcast. So thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, Chris.
Okay, Wicked Smart listeners, that does wrap up our time today with Judy Richard. If you enjoyed the show on any level, as I always tell you, could you take a few seconds, just rate and review it on your favorite podcast app, platform, and please share it with others. Judy's story, I promise you, if you just share it with your 3 closest people you interact with, you never know how you're going to affect them. And this is about creating experiences for people and creating life experiences that change things. And it takes one nugget. It takes one 1-minute decision. It's crazy effective. So share this episode with at least one person. I prefer 3. And when you do, email me and let me know your biggest takeaway from hearing Judy and I chat. Chris@smartrealestatecoach.com. Lastly, and I haven't said this in a while, guys, I am fully aware, especially as a Wicked Smart listener, if you've been at this for a while with us, that you take 30 or so minutes every single week, sometimes shorter, sometimes more, but you've only got 10,080 of those this week. And you take 30 and you throw them at us, and I really appreciate that. We literally meet every single week. As you can see now, we're up-leveling by bringing on students. That's what we think. We'd like to hear your feedback. Go off and make it an outstanding week. Look forward to seeing you at one of the upcoming In the Trenches boot camps.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Real Estate Coach podcast. If you're ready to invest in yourself and take your investing to the next level, check out our 90-day Jumpstart program by going to smartrealestatecoach.com/jump. That's smartrealestatecoach.com/jump, because now is the time to act boldly in this unprecedented market shift.